Hello and welcome to another episode of What SHU Doing. I am your host, Aaron Burrell, alongside my co-host, Paul Guarino.
What SHU Doing?
We are here with a very special guest. Lauren Baker is here. Lauren, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. We are, we have been talking
At it today.
at it.
So we appreciate you staying this late, too.
Yes, to do this interview with us. It has been great. So to kick this off, we always like to ask people, why Sacred Heart?
I just picked Sacred Heart because it was close to home and they had a really good program that I wanted to get into. When I originally came to Sacred Heart, I wanted to be an elementary school teacher. So they had a really good education program and it was really close to home. So that's why I picked it.
Gotcha.
All right, then how did you switch again to media?
I took a couple education classes and they were great. It wasn't for me. I knew that it just wasn't it for me. And so I took a couple broadcasting classes, like, oh, this is kind of cool. Like, let me just go with this. And I was like, then I worked in a football game for one of the classes and we had to work all the football games. And I was like, actually, you can get paid to do this? Like, no way. I go, this is so much fun. Fell in love with it. I was like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I go, I want to be at NFL stadiums. And
That's dope. So you've always been a sports fan?
yeah, I grew up a New York sports fan. My dad's whole side of the family are Giants, Yankees fans. So I grew up rooting for them. And that's just how I fell in love with it. And I was like, I can actually get paid to watch these games?
Yeah.
Like, okay, say less. Like,
That's crazy, too. That's crazy because, I mean, we had some people, but I never heard, like, education major to
Yeah.
a media major.
I think you're our first guest who went education to media.
yeah, I wanted to teach 4th grade. I had it all planned out.
Oh, I was a substitute teacher. You don't want to teach 4th grade.
I was gonna ask
I
you.
don't know why 4th grade, but like it was always 4th
All I
grade.
remember, I went to middle school one day, and the first day I went, the kids were literally jumping off the desks. And I was like, yep, I'm good.
I remember that era of you teaching. Did you ever like do any like externships or internships where you were like studying or like at a school and then you were like
I think in high school I did one, but I went there for a day, and one of my friend's moms is a teacher, so I was like, oh, like let me like talk to her about it. But then I came here and decided, oh, like I'd rather get paid to watch sports. Like that's cool.
For sure.
not a bad call.
Yeah.
Not a bad call. So after you graduate from Sacred Heart, did you go straight into grad school?
I did, yes. I worked on a show called CT Sports Now, which was a kind of like a sports center, but it was for high school sports, and it aired in every home in Connecticut. And I was a production intern, but technically we weren't interns because we were actually doing like TD, graphics, audio, stage manager, cameras, technical director. So I was actually doing all this stuff, and it aired in every home in Connecticut. So I got that opportunity, and then once the director was leaving, she was like, if you want to direct, you'll just have to go to grad school. And I was like, okay, I'll do it. I directed that show for a year, had a blast, loved every minute of it, met some of my best friends working that show. And if it wasn't for that show in Sacred Heart, I wouldn't be where I am today.
That's crazy. CT Sports Now has really birthed a lot of careers.
That was when No Offense was
Yeah,
there,
it was
right?
with Noah Fins and Mark Robbins.
Yeah.
Yeah, the man.
Yeah.
I was actually, I don't know if you know, I was actually the one that was programming it every night.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah, I was remote.
Yeah.
Yeah, I messed up a couple times. Noah chewed me out a couple times, but we were here.
No,
Yeah.
it's true. I mean, it helped a lot. I mean,
Were you on it too?
Yeah, I did a lot of stuff with it back in the day. I used to do like features. I would come in. A lot of stuff we would go out and shoot.
I forgot.
Actually, with Juice, we would go out, shoot it, and then come back out with air.
It's crazy because it doesn't feel like that long ago, but it was really that long ago.
It was,
Yeah.
but it's crazy how many different careers it completely.
Yeah, that's
shaped.
dope because I think you're like the third person in a row that we just interviewed that all said that like that's where they got their like most experience from. Like,
Yeah,
So
I
that's awesome.
loved doing that show. I think it was my favorite part.
maybe they gotta bring it back.
That's what I've been saying. Like,
Yeah.
I want to try to bring it back. I just don't know how.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
Project for the future.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's in the back of my mind, trying to figure it out how to. Because it was really great for not only for us at Sacred Heart, but also for the local high school kids.
Yeah.
That they can like see themselves on TV and like that was my game. Like
Yeah.
it was great. I loved it.
No, it truly was a great program. I wish it was still around, but You know,
Yeah.
on to, you know, so after you go to grad school, after you graduate, that first job, what was that first day on the first job like for you?
So the first job was I started working at Bleacher Report. I was a technical director there. I've done not just technical director. I was technical director for a while, and then I did other things there, all on the production side. But the first day there, I walked in, and it was all like COVID time, so we all had to wear masks. And I walked in, and I was like, "Hi, I'm Lauren. I'm the new TD." And they're like, "Well, that's cool." Like they were all talking about the Yankee game, and I was like, "Oh, like I know the Yankees." Like I was like, "Oh, Aaron Judge, love him." Like. And they were like, "Oh, like, you can talk sports?" I was like, "Yeah, I can talk sports." And they're like, "And you know how to TD?" I was like, "Yeah." They're like, "That's really cool."
Yeah.
And they also thought that because it's the same switcher we had downstairs, it was just a more, like, elevated one. Like, it had more bells and whistles. And so they're like, "Oh, you actually know the switcher?" I was like, "Yeah, I worked on the switcher for 2 years." And they're like, "That's really cool." Like, everyone was really impressed with the skill set that I already had because of Sacred Heart. That when I came in, they were like, "Wow, like, you're cool." And I was like, "Thanks."
No, that's amazing. Like, honestly, I feel like the equipment here really does prepare students. But how was Bleacher Report? Like, you know, other than obviously, like like I feel like you were there at a great time to be there. So
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. A lot of the shows were great. Like, we did this one show about sneakers. I know nothing about sneaker culture.
Yeah.
But, like, it was called Did You Cop? And it was about these two guys at home, like, trying to get sneakers on the sneaker app.
Yes.
But, like, it was so entertaining. And it had nothing to do with sports. But, like, it was these two guys trying to get sneakers on their phones. It was really, like, technically advanced, too. But I was like, each week I was like, are these guys going to get the shoes or not? And then I was like, they're free shoes. And I was like, okay. I was like, some weeks they were free. Some weeks they had to pay, like, $200. And I was like,
Oh.
I was like, oh, okay. Like, some weeks they got them, some weeks they didn't, but...
That's interesting. Were you there with Sims and Lefko when they were there?
No.
Oh, okay. Yes, I would have left right before you got there. Gotcha, yes.
Lefko is still, like, he doesn't work for Bleacher Report, but he still works for Turner.
Okay.
He came in, we did a big draft show, and he came in studio to do the show. I met him, he was cool.
Yeah, very cool, very cool. And so from Bleacher Report, where did you end up next?
I'm currently working at CBS Sports. I'm a broadcast associate, so it's like, it depends where I am. Like, I can either be in tape one day for the tournament. I was in the studio, so I was down in tape, and that entailed me cutting all the, like, clips from all the games that were happening live, which... That first weekend, it was a lot. It was so much fun, though, like, getting to watch all these games happening, like, catch all your reactions, all the fans, like, if there's a great dunk, I was like, oh, that dunk was great, or, like, if someone said something great, like, Ian Eagle said, anything he said was great, like, I was like, oh, that was a great sound bite, let's clip that, let's do that, which was great. But then for NFL season, I was on the road. So I went to 18 different NFL stadiums. Wow. I did a couple of college games too. But that was really cool to be on the road. And I was a part of the graphics team. So I was the score bar. So anything, the score, the down and distance, making sure that it was anything also that popped up, like any stat, like, anything that came up at the iBar, that was me. I also, if there was a touchdown, I would also pop in the graphic that would say, like, oh, touchdown, and who the player was, and their number.
Gotcha, okay. I forgot my question. Go ahead. I literally lost my train of thought mid-sentence.
No, that's dope. And, yeah, what's the difference? You mentioned, like, college and NFL. What's the difference, like, going to a college game versus an NFL game?
Well, the college games I went to, I was at Rutgers, Ohio State, which was a good game.
At Ohio State?
No, it was in Rutgers.
Oh, boo.
Yeah. I mean, it was easy to get to. So.
Yeah, that's nice.
But it was just a different environment, especially, like, when I did college for college basketball. In Iowa, and it was, like, snowing. Students lined up, like...
For a Caitlin Clark game?
No, it was Iowa State. Iowa State, Kansas.
Gotcha.
And students lined up. We got to the trucks at 7 a.m. Students were already lined up for hours. And I was like,
that's
for a basketball game? Like, I'm not really big into college basketball, but I was like, that's insane. Where, like, NFL stadiums, we would get there and, like, no one would really be there because
Yes.
we get there so early.
Yeah.
But college basketball, even college football,
Yeah.
they
They're
were
there
there
early, yes.
early. And I was like, okay, like, this is a vibe.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I would show up to a college, any game,
That
like,
early.
hours early
Yeah.
in the snow
Yes.
and just stand outside.
That is crazy.
It was wild, but it was great. Like, a great
Yeah.
environment. I could never do it as a
For sure.
fan, but.
I want to go back a little bit. You, I think you interned or worked at Yale as well, athletics.
Yeah, I worked on Yale broadcast. One of another student here, she was like, "Oh, like I'm doing Yale games. You should join it." And I was like, "Would love the reps."
Yeah.
Sure, let's go. So the first Yale game I worked, it was me and 2 other students from Sacred Heart. We did a football game that day, and they were like, oh, like, they were so excited that they had, like, they're like, we actually know people who know broadcast and can actually, like, help us with our games. I said, yeah, of course, would love to help. Turns out we did that football game that day, and they're like, we have a soccer game later tonight. Do you want to stay and work the soccer game too? And we're like, all right, cool. Like, sure, love to get more reps to the soccer game. So we did, like, I would do back and forth, like, Sacred Heart one week, Yale the next, and, like, for the football season, so it was a lot of fun. I learned a lot.
Yeah,
Wow.
for sure. Wait, do they not have communications there? Maybe they don't. Maybe they're too smart for it.
I feel like they got to. I feel like, I don't know.
I don't know. They, like,
Let me
didn't
not
have
defend
any,
the aliens.
like, communication students.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say what I want to say, so. They didn't have communication students.
They didn't have, I don't know if they didn't have communication students, but they had students working the broadcast, but they were, like, paying them, and, like, the students, like, I think one of them was nursing, like, they had all,
Oh, okay.
It was just like any student who was willing.
any
to-
student who needed a
All
like,
hands
work
on deck.
study
Gotcha, yeah.
job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I remember my question originally, which was going to be, what NFL stadium was your favorite?
I got to go to, the one in LA.
Oh, SoFi.
SoFi,
Yes.
yes. I was thinking, like, Eaglewood.
Okay,
That one
it's
looks-
it's in Inglewood, yes.
That one looks crazy. Like, even on TV, it looks
crazy, yeah.
That stadium was really cool. Like, if you ever get a chance, go and see it. It's
Okay.
all, like, underground, but, like, it was so cool. Like, because we were the 4 o'clock window. It was
Okay.
Chiefs, Chargers.
Okay.
Week 18.
Gotcha.
And when I was so excited, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to see Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. And they're like, no, they're getting benched. And I was like,
Oh, you see it wrapped up playoffs.
Yeah.
yeah. And I was like, ugh. But the stadium, like, because we were in the 4 o'clock window, they had all the games on in the little, like, monitors. So, like, we were just standing outside in the field, like, watching all the games happen.
That's cool.
And then my producer was like, guys, look, it was Patrick Mahomes warming up on, like, in the field. And I was like, what? Like, I was just in shock. I was like, oh my God, that's Patrick Mahomes. This is so
Crazy.
cool.
Yeah. That is crazy.
That's crazy.
So other than Mahomes, any other notable NFL like players that you saw where you're just like, this is like, I can't believe I'm like standing in front of this person or
So my first week on the road, I was doing a game, or I was shadowing a game in Charlotte. It was a preseason game, and the talent was Tiki Barber, Matt Ryan, and Andrew Catalan. I'm a huge Giants fan.
Gotcha.
So, like,
Gosh.
when they were like, you're gonna meet Tiki Barber, I said, what? And then I was like, that's really cool. Also, Matt Ryan is super nice. And I was like, Matt Ryan's cool, but, like, Giants fan, Tiki Barber.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, so meet Matt Ryan, talk to him, like, it was great. The second night, we had dinner, and I got to sit across from Tiki Barber and, like, talk to him and, like, tell him, I was like, oh, I'm a Giants fan. He was like, oh, I knew I liked you. And, like, we talked about the Yankees, but it was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
That's a fun little fact. Actually, Matt Ryan's cousin used to go to SHU with us.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Yeah.
Talk to me later. Anyway.
Yeah. So, like, what's your advice to students that are trying to get into the sport? Well, after college, after Sacred Heart.
I would say, like, get involved in anything here, because if you do everything here, then it'll just better help you when you get out into the real world. And so, like, and one of the things, like, I do is I always make sure that, like, I check in on everyone. Like, is there anything I could do to help you? Like, whatever they need, like, willing to help out, willing to get them whatever they want. Like, sometimes the talent wanted coffee. And so I would have, we had runners who would, like, go and, get us things. And I was like, they would really like a coffee. Can you go, I know, like, it's not ideal, but can you go out and get a coffee? Like, so just the answer is never like, if you're out in the field and someone asks you to do something, the answer is never no. Always say, of course, yes, I'll be happy to. Always network and like with other people. And if someone asks you, like, after working a long day, like, for the tournament, we worked almost 80 hours each week, but the last night everyone was going out, and they're like, do you want to come? I wanted to go back and go to bed, but I was like, no, I'm gonna go out, like, I'm gonna network with everyone, and like, yeah.
You stuck that one in there, aren't you?
But
yeah, and even throughout the interview, you said all those things, and you told it, like, you did them, and that's how you took your own advice, basically. Well, you gave it to us.
That's why she's giving the advice. But
you know what I meant.
I know what you meant. We move on. Anyway, one thing we love to do on this show is also have a little fun. We're still workshopping the name of this segment.
No, it's Fun SHU.
Doesn't really
That's
work,
good.
does it? Thank you. That's been my point.
It's like cheesy, but like funny. Fun SHU.
Cheesy.
Fun SHU.
Funny, we're working on that part. Anyhow,
SHU fun.
Paul has a lot of the SHU fun questions or fun SHU questions.
Yeah, so what was your favorite dorm?
I actually didn't stay on campus. I commuted.
That's
Boo.
right.
X.
Yeah, sorry.
What was your favorite dining hall?
I like Linda's. I went
Okay.
to Linda's. They just opened the diner my like senior year, so I maybe went there maybe a handful of times, but Linda's for sure.
What was your favorite sport at Sacred Heart, like, that you covered that was like a non-traditional sport?
I actually only did football and basketball, but
Okay.
Between the two.
I liked football better.
What about? Well, I was saying that because Sacred Heart I think has 32 Division I sports. It's like
Probably more at this point.
I think it's the high. I think it's like one of the highest.
Yeah.
That's why it's like interesting. Maybe we have to pitch that to Miller to do other sports, because like we have like a good fencing team and like random bowling.
Yeah.
Like random stuff.
Somebody asked me once, they were like, what's Sacred Heart's best sport? And I was like, fencing. And they started laughing. And I was like, no, I'm dead serious.
Or bowling. I forget.
Bowling, bowling's really good. I was like, we have a great cheer and dance teams. Like, I was like, they always win nationals or go to nationals. I was like, people think I'm kidding. I'm like, no, these are real teams that you could look this up.
Oh, actually, you're adjunct here too. How did that happen?
I came back here for maybe an alumni event or something, and Miller asked me, and he was like, so do you want to teach the women in sports event? And I was like, sure, I would love to. I go, I'm a woman in sports, so I would love to. Like I know people, and I would like a lot of people that I know would love to come back and give to different community or different universities and talk about their experiences and what they've experienced. So I really thought that it would be great to like share my knowledge on with the younger generation.
You talked about your advice to students. You talked about wanting to give back to students. What is something that you look forward to doing personally in your career?
In my career, a goal of mine is to direct the Super Bowl. I know it's bold.
That's dope.
Aim high. You better aim high. You gotta aim high.
I also told my dad that I'm going to direct the Giants winning the Super Bowl, which that's really bold, and all the cards need to like align. Like I need to be working. It needs to be on CBS. Like
the Giants have to be good.
The Giants have to make it. It's totally fine.
Do you like Tommy DeVito?
Actually, no. I did, but I only watched 3 Giants games this year.
Oh, you're busy. Yeah, you don't get to people. That's one thing. Can you talk about that? Because that's one thing I think people don't realize is that when you work in sports, you don't always get to watch your favorite sport.
Yeah, so like I'm a huge football fan, and I used to watch the Giants every Sunday with my dad. Mm-hmm. Then I got the job at CBS traveling, and I didn't get a Giants game. It was sad, but I was like, oh, I have a long career. I'll get at least one. Yeah. But so I didn't watch maybe 3, but my stats guy was really great on giving me updates about what's happening in the Giants game.
Yeah.
It wasn't great when I was trying to focus on the game we were at. Say we were at Indy Jacksonville, and he would be like, oh, your team is the blah blah blah, and I was like, oh, my team, like the Giants? And he was like, yeah. And I go, I thought you meant the Colts. And he goes, nah, the Colts are actually good. Your team is trash. And I was like, thanks.
It was brutal.
Yeah. He would subtly roast me.
That's hilarious.
But I wouldn't watch games. So I wouldn't know what happened because I was so focused on, say, Indy Jacksonville that I wouldn't know what happened until like I got home. I remember we were in Miami. Our game just ended. It was Giants Jets. Someone's like, the game is tied. We just got off the air. I literally get in the car to go to the airport, and someone's like, are you watching the Giants? I was like, yeah, the game is tied. And I go, we just put this guy in. I go, I don't know, DeVito? I was like, I think his name's Tommy DeVito. And they're like, Tommy DeVito? And I was like, yeah. I go, I don't know who he is. And they're like, oh, all right. Like, they were kind of, like, confused. And then all of a sudden we lost. And we go, we lost. And I was like, oh. They're like, Lauren, because you watched the game. And I was like, man.
So that's the key. You got to keep busy every Sunday during Giants.
Who's your favorite Yankee player?
Right now?
Yeah. Or both, all time and now.
All time, Derek Jeter. Love Derek Jeter.
Fair.
What about now?
Right now, I love Judge. Kind of basic answer, but I also love Volpe and Anthony Rizzo.
Okay.
Are also.
They're both New Yorkers too, right? I think. Rizzo is?
No.
Rizzo is. No?
Volpe.
Volpe.
Rizzo's from Miami area, actually. Florida boy.
Shout out to the Florida boys. Yeah, we in here.
I like Stroman.
Stroman is Stroman's a New Yorker.
Yeah, that's why. He's dope. He's changed the game. I think this year's Yankees team. I haven't watched like a game, but I've seen the highlights and I've seen like they're actually like the team chemistry already is like crazy.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping.
But
a World Series this year.
I really would love to see it. But
the Marlins just beat them last night. Actually, I was watching it.
Yeah.
I was like,
it was unfortunate.
get out of here, Marlins.
Get out of here, Marlins. Well, Lauren, we want to thank you for your time. This has been a pleasure having you on What You Doing. I cannot wait to watch you direct a Super Bowl with the Giants in it.
That would be crazy.
I really, really hope that happens.
Like, I hope it does too. Yeah. I'll be at home and I'll be like, listen, I know who's directing this, and I know she is going crazy right now.
Yeah.
But you can't watch the game though, because it's like bad luck. Yeah. So how are you gonna direct?
I don't know. Also, like when you're like directing at that level, like you don't really enjoy the game. You're too busy focusing on like everything else that's going on. But
that's a good luck charm then. You'll be busy. So
yeah, but
when Tommy DeVito leaves y'all,
leads us to the Super Bowl.
I won't know my breath on that one, but but maybe he will. And chicken cutlets for everybody. Anyway, this has been another episode.
They gotta be thin though.
Right. Come on. We don't want what are we talking about here? This is Tommy DeVito. What are we talking about? Anyway, this has been another episode of What You Doing. Lauren, thank you for your time. We appreciate you. We will see you all next time.